Welcome back to Book Break. It has been a long time coming, but summer is finally here, and so it's time to start thinking about what books you're going to take on holiday. I have got a bunch of recommendations lined up here. We've got a lot of books to get through, so buckle up, we may be here sometime. All of the books I'm going to recommend though have one thing in common, which is that they are paperbacks. So they are perfect for fitting into your holiday suitcase and taking wherever you are jetting off to this summer, or wherever you're having your staycation this summer. They're going to be perfect. And these are all new paperbacks this year, so you're going to be ahead of the curve if you read any of these. First up is The House of Fortune by Jessie Burton, out this year in paperback. It's got a whole new look. It is so summery. It is perfect for your beach reading. This is historical fiction set in Amsterdam, and it is the sequel to the beloved The Miniaturist. We are now following the next generation on from The Miniaturist. Our main character is Thea Brandt, who is about to turn 18. The year is 1705, she is living in Amsterdam, and she has already met the love of her life. But her family's dwindling fortune means that their only chance as a family is for Thea to marry someone really wealthy. So we have this clash between Thea and her Aunt Nella about how these women will find their fortune, and all along secrets from their past are bubbling to the surface. Briefly a Delicious Life by Nell Stevens is a gorgeous summer read, even though it is actually set in winter, but it is set in Mallorca, so it feels like a really good summer holiday read. This is a unique book. It is narrated by a teenage queer ghost. The author Nell Stevens was inspired to write this book researching the story of the musician Chopin and his lover George Sand, who was a woman who dressed in men's clothes, who did spend this disastrous holiday in Mallorca. Chopin got really ill, the locals were hostile, so they spent this disastrous few months really at this monastery in Mallorca, and Nell Stevens has retold this story, but all overseen by the ghost of a teenage girl called Blanca, who has haunted this monastery for hundreds of years, watched loads of visitors over the years, and she's a really witty, really clever narrator who, in her life, her tragically short life that she lived, was ostensibly straight, and it's only in death that she has discovered this passion for women. It's a really gorgeous, playful book, perfect holiday read. I'm predicting seeing a lot of people reading Stone Blind by Natalie Haynes on their sun lounges this year. Greek retellings have been so popular for the last few years, and this is one of the best I've read. Stone Blind is a retelling of the story of Medusa, so that's absolutely fascinating. Medusa has always been told to me as a villain in these stories, and Natalie Haynes completely flips that on its head. So this is a feminist retelling of Medusa's story. And in Natalie Haynes' expert fashion, she also weaves in so many different stories, so many different parts of Greek mythology, all these different characters whose stories intersect with Medusa's in ways that I hadn't realised how clever everything is, the way it all comes together. Again, Natalie Haynes is a really funny writer as well as a really clever writer, so this book is really witty. It made me laugh out loud a lot, but it's also really powerful. It made me angry, it made me sad. It's fantastic. For some summer romance, I recommend The Roughest Draft by Emily Wibberley and Austen Sigmund Broker. This is about two writers, this best-selling writer team, who fell out and have not spoken at all in years, but they still have one book left on their contract. They have to write together. So reluctantly, they come together to write a romance novel while also working through the issue that caused them to stop speaking in the first place. It's set in Florida in the heat, so it's got all of that sizzling summer romance that you need. The Exhibitionist by Charlotte Mendelsohn is about a dysfunctional family, so if you've got any holidays with your dysfunctional family, this might be a great one to bring along. This is all set in the build-up to an art exhibition that is being put on by the father of this family, Ray, who is an absolute monster and one of the best characters I've ever read because he's so hateful. The family have all gathered for this weekend leading up to the exhibition, and there is so much tension, so many different arguments going on, so many different secrets that different members of the family have. The characters in here are so well written that you will feel such passionate hate for some of them and care so deeply about others, and sometimes both at the same time. The Double Life of Daisy Hemings by Joanna Nadin is a great one for Taylor Jenkins Reid fans. So if you love Daisy Jones and the Six, if you love The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, this has got all of the aspects of both those books that you will love. It's dual timeline, so it's set between Cornwall in the 80s and London in the present day, and it is about a famous actress called Daisy Hemings who has decided to write her autobiography, and she hires a ghostwriter who has secrets of his own. And then in the flashback sections we meet Daisy and her twin sister Bea, and we follow this one kind of fateful summer. And then in the flashback sections, we meet Daisy and her twin sister Bea and follow this one fateful holiday in Cornwall. And you will be figuring out the whole time, trying to piece together how these timelines fit together. Right, just to make things extra fun, a helicopter has started circling overhead. I was waiting for it to leave so I could keep filming, but it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. So I'm going to relocate and then tell you about the rest of the books. Okay, this is better. It's sadly less summary, but you are not going to be able to hit anything out there. So let me continue with my recommendations. I was about to recommend you The Dance Street by Kieran Millward Hargrave. This is another historical fiction. It follows the lives of 3 women living in Strasbourg in the early 16th century. And this one is set against the backdrop of an extraordinary true story, which was this dance plague that happened in 1518 in Strasbourg. There was this phenomenon where people seemingly could not stop dancing in the streets, and no one could work out what was causing this kind of mass hysteria. It was during a heat wave, so it was this really surreal, hot, mad time. And Kieran Millward Hargrave has written a story of these 3 women living during this summer. So as you can imagine, it's this kind of spellbinding book. It's about women and their desires for each other, their desires in life. It is about motherhood. And just look at this cover. This is screaming to be a summer read. If it's a page-turning summer thriller that you're after, you should read The Villa by Ruth Kelly, which is a sort of Love Island-inspired murder mystery. Such a great concept. So we have 10 contestants in a luxury villa on an island competing for a cash prize. The whole thing is being live streamed to viewers who get control over who is going to progress in the game show. We have ruthless producers who would do anything to keep their viewer numbers higher, and we have contestants who would possibly kill to win. And another book set on a luxury private island, The Club by Ellery Lloyd. This is about the opening weekend of a private members club on an island, and we see right from the beginning, we see news stories that something terrible happened during this launch. This is a really fun page thriller full of terrible rich people doing terrible things to each other. So these two kind of go hand in hand as the same genre of summer read, but they are very, very different stories, very different twists. So you could read these back to back, and this would be a fantastic holiday pair. For some Aussie crime, Dirt Town by Hayley Scrivener is set in a small Australian town. So this will make you feel like you have flown halfway around the world, even if that is not what you're doing this summer. This is a great one for fans of those kind of small town dark mysteries. This is set in a small kind of dying town in rural Australia where a schoolgirl goes missing on her way home from school. And it's really clever. It's got this kind of chorus of voices, this we, the people of the town who all have their own secrets and all know different things. It's really claustrophobic. I love small town mysteries, and this is a great one. For something a bit cozier, The Cat Who Caught a Killer by L.T. Shearer is a murder mystery with a very unusual detective because it's a cat. So if you love a page turner to read in your break, but you don't want to ruin your holiday with anything too scary, this is the perfect level of cozy crime. So it's about a retired police detective called Lulu who is sort of forced back into work when her mother-in-law dies in mysterious circumstances, and Lulu suspects foul play. So she takes it upon herself to investigate this death, and a cat named Conrad is going to be with her every step of the way. Right from the beginning of this novel, this cat wanders into her life one day, and just as Lulu is about to get him a saucer of milk, he starts talking to her and surprises her by telling her that he is in fact lactose intolerant. So it's a really funny, really heartwarming story with a talking cat. The Love of My Life by Rosie Walsh is a great holiday read because this is a mystery that will keep you turning the pages, keep you guessing, but it's also a love story. It's a story of a woman with a really sad past and how she is coming to terms with this. So it's got loads of different elements that come together. But essentially the book is about a woman whose husband finds out that nothing she has told him about herself is true, not even her name. And there is a reason for this that will just keep you guessing right till the end. He completely adores her, he is completely blindsided, everything is just blown apart for him when he realizes that she has been lying to him their whole life. But that doesn't mean that he is not the love of her life, or at least one of the loves of her life. And one more mystery, but again this is something completely different, The Other Side of Night by Adam Hamdy, blurs so many genres into one. It is a mystery, it is a thriller, it is science fiction, it is romantic, it's this really meta story, it is unlike anything you will ever read, you will have ever read or will ever read again. It's about a disgraced former police officer called Harriet getting involved in this investigation which involves her ex-lover who broke her heart in a very abrupt and confusing way many years before, and he is now mysteriously involved in this investigation about a little boy who has just lost his parents. And it's such a confusing, in a good way, read. You're constantly trying to work out how everything is going to fit together. And I've read a lot of thrillers in my time. I'm getting pretty good at knowing where they're going. I would not guess this one in a million years. Then for something completely different, some literary fiction to really sink into, Trust by Hernan Diaz was longlisted for the Booker Prize and is out now in paperback. This would be a lovely one to spend a whole holiday reading and kind of pulling apart. So this is a book made up of 4 books, and each part kind of retells the same story from a new perspective, with the details slightly changed, and each time you hear this story again, you will piece together different parts of the puzzle. It's really deceptive. You sort of constantly feel like you're being lied to, but also constantly being given clues. So the first part of the book is a novel within a novel. So you can read it start to finish. It is a short novel about this Wall Street tycoon and his wife, and it kind of reveals the secrets in their marriage. And then the second part is a memoir written by the real Wall Street tycoon that novel is based on, and he has a very different perspective, and this memoir is sort of half finished. It's his thoughts kind of jotted down as he's writing. Then there's a third part where we meet the woman who is helping him write his memoir, and she has a totally different story, and I'm not even going to tell you what part 4 is. By the time you get there, you will be feeling like such a literary detective. If you're having a seaside break this year, then you should definitely be reading Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield, which is a gorgeous, strange, surreal story about the mysteries of the depths of the sea, but it's also about love and loss and grief, and it's really, really beautiful and really funny and just really lovely. So this is about a married couple, Leah and Miri. Leah has been sent off on this deep sea mission on a submarine, and something goes wrong, and so she is missing for months. She's supposed to be gone for a few weeks, she's gone for months. Her wife has no idea where she is. Finally she returns, but she is not the same woman that she was. We also have a parallel timeline where we actually follow Leah under the sea and find out what it was that she met in the depths of the sea that changed her so much. But mostly the book is this kind of horror story in a way, because there is this supernatural change that's happened to Leah, but it's so beautiful and so sad because Miri, her wife, is looking after her, but while grieving the woman that she used to be who has never really returned from the sea. It's really romantic and lovely, as well as sad and as well as funny and as well as creepy, and I just think lying out by the sea, hearing the waves hitting the shore and reading this book could be the perfect combination. I recently did a video at Book Bar where I went and met Chrissy, who is the founder of Book Bar. It's a bookshop in London, and she recommended a wine pairing for this book as well. I'm not going to tell you what it was because I think you should go and watch that video. Chrissy is fantastic. I will link to it below. So if you're going on your seaside holiday and you're going to bring this book, go and find out what wine you should drink while you're there as well. Short stories are really great for holiday reading, for getting little snatches of reading time, reading one story at a time. I really, really recommend Danielle Evans as a short story writer. I think she is brilliant. This is actually one of her older collections. We've published it into this gorgeous new paperback this year. So this collection is called Before You Suffocate, Your Own Fool Self. All of the stories sort of explore a new perspective on race and class in America. The stories are so well written. They're really, really readable, really emotional, really powerful. I know people have different opinions on short stories. Some people don't always know what to take from them. It's a very different reading experience than reading a novel. I think that Danielle Evans, this is a masterclass in short stories. And for another weird and wonderful holiday read, Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel is a time travel novel that takes place over a range of hundreds of years. So we flash through time, meeting different characters at different points in time, all who get this weird glimpse into a world that isn't their own. And so all the way in the future, 400 years into the future, humans are living in space, everything is different, and we meet a time traveler who goes back through all those timelines that we jumped into to discover what is going on and find out what is causing this strange anomaly in time and space. It's so, so clever. Like all of Emily St. John Mandel's books, it's so well written, it's kind of dreamlike, and if you want to know how it fits into the wider Emily St. John Mandel multiverse, well, don't worry, because of course I have a video for that, so I will link to that below. There are characters that pop up across all of Emily St. John Mandel's books, so you can absolutely start with this one if you've never read any of them, but then you will discover this whole universe and then you'll have to read them all. And finally, we're finally at the end of my recommendations. You better have a really big suitcase because I've given you a lot of books to take on holiday. My final recommendations are these gorgeous new editions of Jane Austen's classics. So I've got here Emma, Pride and Prejudice, and Sense and Sensibility. This is the time, this is the summer. If you have always wanted to read Jane Austen and you never have before, well, these editions that have just come out this year are the ones to put into your suitcase this year. They're so beautiful. All of these covers are taken from the wallpaper in Jane Austen's own house. It's such a lovely idea, so you're actually looking at the same patterns that Jane Austen herself would have been looking at while writing these books. So this is it, this is your sign. This summer is your Jane Austen summer, and these are the paperback editions that you need. Okay, I don't know about you, but I'm exhausted. Let me know in the comments below which of those you are going to be packing in your holiday suitcase this summer. I recommend all of them, but if you need to save on suitcase space, maybe pick about 5. I will also link here to a video I made on the books that I think everyone is going to be talking about all summer long, so do click through and watch that if you want to make sure that you are part of the conversations happening this summer, and I'll see you next time.